You want a safe retirement? Then you have the safest asset out there. And it isn't the safest asset because I say so. It's the safest asset because it is used across the entire spectrum of the global economy. Therefore, simple enough, it has the broadest base of buyer. And that's what you need. You need something that has demand right across the board all of the time. Maybe sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. That's normal. But it's indestructible, so it can't go away. And there is no other asset that can make that statement, not one. You want to retire? Make sure you're in the safest place possible. And this time is not different. It's not different. You need to be in the right position. You need to hold physical metals in your possession because that's what's going to protect you and your retirement plan. Turning sour. Forecasts for U.S. growth and inflation this year and beyond have been deteriorating rapidly. That's what we see. You won't have a chance. I have so many people that will always ask me, when, Lynette? Goodness, Lynette, you've been talking about this for so many years. Look, I'm old enough to have learned this lesson. All in due time, just not necessarily mine. So people make a choice. They choose to buy gold, or they choose to buy a stock, or they choose to do anything. And then immediately they expect that whatever choice they've made for whatever goal they had, then it starts to materialize. But the world doesn't work like that. And we all know that. You live long enough. You've learned that. So I can't tell you it's going to be Tuesday morning at 8:35. But what I can tell you is that when confidence is lost, which is what they're talking about here, when confidence is lost, it can happen. It's slow, and then it's fast. And you can't get into position when that happens. You need to get into position today, right now. What are you waiting for? Get it done. We're not talking about you going out and blowing anything. We're talking about you actually putting wealth into savings. That's what you need to be doing, not just for your retirement, but certainly for your retirement. But to make sure that you can be in the position to generate income that you cannot outlive. That's a comfortable retirement. That you can get into position that no matter what happens with the currency, not only are you okay, but you're in a position to take advantage of what's happening, just like those in power that really understand it. So I would like you to take a look at your portfolio and say, is it really inflation proof? Because if you listen to the talking heads on TV, they'll say, well, move into these stocks. Okay, forget growth stocks. Let's go to these stocks to protect you from inflation. Here's the piece that nobody ever talks about because they don't understand it. They've not studied it like I have. This is the end of this fiat money experiment. It's over. We're at the end. We're transitioning into an entirely new monetary and financial system. And in order to really be able to do that, everything has to break down. What was happening in the 70s and what's happening today is the same. We're transitioning from one monetary system into another monetary system. But the difference between then and now is that we were still in a paper system. It was a quasi system. Now we're shifting into a digital system. And this is a much bigger shift into a completely new system than what happened in the 70s. So it's going to be a lot more visible, and they have to retire all of the debt that created all of these monies to make things look like they were going up in value since the 70s. But it was all done on debt. And that debt bubble is absolutely popping now. And I don't have any problem saying that and putting my neck on the line. There's no doubt in my mind. That's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. And we're going to end up being really, really desperate because they need us to be scared and desperate, which is why we're going from crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis. So everything feels very unbalanced. And that's how they make these transitions. I'm seeing every sign of the transition out there. It's so interesting to watch. A little scary too, because nobody knows the exact moment when you're going to lose all choices. That's why you cannot afford to procrastinate. But, Wall Street wants you to think of diversification as stocks or bonds or ETFs that have a whole bunch of stuff in it, mutual funds that have a whole bunch of stuff in it, annuities, these kind of things, but that's not diversified because these are all dollar-based. So you've got to have some physical gold that is actually a diversifier for your portfolio, because they don't really work like stocks and bonds that are so easily manipulated. Spot gold contracts, spot silver contracts, absolutely, they can manipulate those. But when you hold it and you own it, it runs no counterparty risk, and it is truly outside of the system. And that's what we need to be. That's what I'm telling you right now. Aside from food, water, energy security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter, my retirement is in gold. My day-to-day living, my barterable position is in silver, mostly. Some gold for property taxes and things like that. So all of these ETFs and mutual funds, they all basically invest in these top 5 stocks, the Apples and I guess it's called Meta and all of those. So it's really fun on the way up because it pushes everything up, but it's not so fun on the way down. Wall Street staggers with vicious $1.3 trillion stock rout. And guess what? It's still severely overvalued. Because all of that fresh money printing that they've really done since 2009, when they started the QE experiment, they have pushed those. I mean, you got money. What are you going to do with it? Right? I mean, I know what I've chosen to do with it, which is to secure the safety of myself and my family and friends and things like that. But a lot of people put it into the stock market. That pushes the price up. But nothing goes up forever. It is time to cover your assets. That foundation is good money gold and good money silver, physical, in your possession. You can do a gold IRA, but it's not in your possession. And there are even some IRAs out there that you can do and have it closer to you. But it's still not as private as I'm most comfortable with. You got to do whatever you're comfortable with.